Thank you for listening to REED-BBS.
REED-BBS. BBS. This Saturday, July the 13th, on DAZN. Philadelphia in the house. The return of Jaron Boots Ennis. He'll be facing David Avanesyan, late replacement on 4 or 5 weeks' notice for IBF mandatory Cody Crowley, who suffered an eye injury. That's a fight that just doesn't want to happen, so let's just let that one go on and drift off into the sunset. Not only could Boots not get the big fights he wanted and the big fights his immense talent warrants, he couldn't get that. He couldn't even get lesser fights. He couldn't get stay busy fights to come to fruition. And I mostly blame PBC. If you've listened to any of my Boots content of late, I'm not happy with how PBC did him. They mostly wasted Boots' time while he spent a year or 3 whooping ass on their cards. And then the PBC transitioned to Amazon and left Boots as the odd man out, seemingly. Dudes like Stanley Ennis and Mario Barrios, they were deemed more important. None of them were busy. Like, nobody from PBC is busy or terribly active. But they at least got dates. So PBC got them fights in lieu of Boots. So thank you to Eddie Hearn. Thank you, Eddie Hearn. Yeah. For the Jaron Boots Ennis content. Thank you for providing us with something Jaron Boots Ennis related. Thank you, Eddie Hearn. The star of the Boots promotion thus far, him with DAZN and Matchroom, star's been Eddie Hearn undeniably. Because unlike PBC, Hearn is actually getting his hustle on. He sees this diamond in the rough, so he's shining that diamond up, presenting it in a favorable light. Other than Boots, the first wave of promos, I ain't gonna lie though. My man was looking kind of soft-bodied. I ain't saying, I'm just saying, sometimes it's all right to put that shirt on, bro. I'm just saying. But with that, 9 of Boots' first 18 fights were in Philly, but he hasn't fought in Philadelphia proper. Hadn't fought there since headlining a Showbox card back in 2018. There's been a handful of Atlantic City dates as well, which is in close proximity, like an hour or so from Philly. But he ain't fought in Philly proper since 2018. And look at there, Eddie Hearn is the one that does it. He makes it happen. And in his words, Hearn says, "I can't believe that it hasn't been done earlier. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's a natural thing to do. Philadelphia is a great fight city. They're a knowledgeable crowd. They have a true world champion, a great fighter in Boots Ennis, and he's going to light up the city." And putting action behind his words, Hearn had him put out the little short pieces like 10 or 12 minutes called Make the Days Count. They just kind of follow Boots around. Bunch of Philly brothers, four-wheeling and riding motorcycles like in the movie Creed shit, popping wheelies and shit, Brothers shooting dice, congregating, grilling. It was some good neighborhood vibes all around. And on one hand, it's not much, yet it's a lot. It's a lot. And a wise man once said, not much is a lot. Not much is a lot. But I digress. But especially compared to the lack of promotion, the lack of push that Boots got from PBC, that shit was dope. I'll try to stop dwelling on that, though. I don't want to drag it down into that. It's about Boots and David Avanesyan, who's a danger man. He's a danger man, as Eddie Hearn also says. Avanesyan, 30 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 18 KOs. He fought Bud Crawford in Nebraska, so why the hell wouldn't he fight Boots Ennis in Philly, right? I mean, why wouldn't he? Honestly, on 4 or 5 week notice, you couldn't ask for a more credible guy. Not realistically. Stylistically, Avanesyan, he's aggressive, but he comes in with the high guard, and with that, he'll throw some catch and shoot counters. So you fire a right hand, you catch him on his arm. Soon as you're pulling back that right hand, a lot of times he's already firing with that same arm you touched. He's firing right back at you, catch and shoot style. So if you hang in the pocket too long, or if you sit back and admire your work after firing a shot, Avanesyan, he can catch you slipping. For his aggression, he's not a caveman. His attack, it isn't choreographed or predictable, but yet it isn't wild and reckless either. He's not without skill and a semblance of thought. He's not Floyd Mayweather in that, but there is thought behind his ballsy way of fighting. Now, Bud touched him up early with jabs and hooks to the body, and Bud eventually stood and held his ground in the pocket, banging away with Avanesyan. He probably got hit more than Bo Mack would have liked, but none of Avanesyan's shots affected Bud, so it didn't harm him being in the pocket with him. And he was eating Avanesyan up with uppercuts on the inside, and eventually stretched Avanesyan with an uppercut right hook combo from the southpaw stance. So quite naturally, right off the rip, there'll be comparisons to Bud's performance to that of Jaron Ennis, who's 31-0, 28 KOs. Bud got him in 6. We'll see, man. We'll see. Bosie's calling 4 or less. I think that's more in the recipe. That would, for what it is, a late replacement, you still need to do them. You still need to do them. It's that simple. Boots says, I'm not trying to be down here playing at 147 for too long. After this fight, I want to face everyone who has a belt. I want them all. With that said, there doesn't appear to be much, if any, real, legit smoke for Boots at 47. It's like a smoke-free zone. It's no smoking section. That's what 147 is right now. It's the no-smoke division. You got Barrios at the WBC. There's talk of him fighting Pacquiao. You got Stanionis, who I mentioned earlier, WBA champion. Brian Norman, he's like the interim WBO champ. I don't think Bud is quite giving up. I don't think that belt, the WBO welterweight belt, will be relinquished until Bud fights Madrimov, my man, on the August 3rd card, Israel Madrimov. So after Bud fights him, or when he fights him, then Brian Norman will be the champion. That's really the comp at 47, unless Blair Cobb or Conor Benn does something for you from the PBC side. But yeah, Bosie Ennis calling 4 rounds or less. I see no reason why the or less part can't play out. Avanesyan is an average puncher at best, from what I've seen, and Boots has shown a reliable beard, both literally and figuratively, thus far. Roy Montvia could crack a little bit. He landed shots, he didn't phase Boots. Lipinets had respectable pop. He landed, he didn't phase Boots. Avanesyan's only chance is to force this late, hoping the layoff impacts Boots' cardio, but Avanesyan would have to sustain an epic ass whooping in the process, and he can't and won't do that. Give me Boots Ennis by KO in 3 or less. REED-BBS, Blackbird Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. Television, Red Sanford of the Fistic Arts. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say